Joining us now, New England Revolution President Brian Bilello. And Brian, first of all, thanks for the time. How you doing?
We're doing well. Thanks for having me.
You know, last Saturday, you had the record-breaking crowd, 65,000-plus people, myself included, inside Gillette Stadium. And it must have been such an incredible feeling for the players, the coach, the whole staff, just to see the stadium filled. And yeah, they're there for Messi, sure, but they're also there to show you that this place can get filled out for an MLS game.
Yeah, no, it was great to have the building filled up. You know, last time we did that was MLS Cup a number of years ago. So to have a big crowd like that was fantastic. And the great part for us was that it really was our fans that were in the building. Obviously, there were some people that just were there to see, Lionel Messi and what he brings, but by and large, we had a pretty heavy Revolution crowd. But at the same time, similar to you see, I think with an NBA, when a LeBron James comes to town or Michael Jordan back in the day, there are just a lot of Revs fans, soccer fans, MLS fans that they may love us, but they certainly have an interest in seeing the greatest of all time play as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you see it in every sport when some stud player is coming to town. Those tickets are tough to sell, or tough to get. With Messi, knowing last year when he came over to MLS, you knew there was going to be a massive impact on viewership and attendance and everything else. Has it been to the level you expected, or has it even surpassed that?
I would say it's surpassed it from what I've seen, at least locally here in New England. The impact more than anything that's been exciting for us at the Revs is we've had a number of people buy season tickets, buy 4- and 6-game packages in greater numbers than we've ever had. And so, we knew the game would sell out, that everyone would want to come to this one game. But I think it's taken that Revolution soccer fan that maybe comes to one game a year, a game every other year, and kind of got him off the couch to say, you know what, we should buy a package. Why not? We love going to the Reds games. I don't mind going to 6 games. Or, we've been thinking about season tickets. This would be a good year to do it. So I think it gave a lot of Revolution fans an excuse to really jump in at higher levels than they ever have before. And that part has been great for us.
Well, it seems like even over, the last 5 years, attendance for the Revs and the MLS on the whole has gone up. And, yeah, the Messi spike is great, but it's sort of even predates Messi, right?
Yeah, for the league, certainly has been going on for some time. I'd say for us at the Revs, coming out of the pandemic, 21 was sort of our, first year back with fans. And if you look at our growth from there to where we're going to be this year, it's been pretty outstanding. So I just think a lot of people are going to wake up one day and say, when did this happen with MLS? But, for the Revs, we're going to average around 30,000 per game in attendance this year. And I think that's probably a number that surprises a lot of people listening. But we've been steadily growing over the last few number of years at pretty big clips. And now what we see, with a number like that is, MLS is at a level where I think finally people are recognizing us as one of those 5 big sports leagues in the U.S.
Yeah, and how tough is that to crack into? Because, you're talking about such a long history with, Major League Baseball has been going on for like 300 years, and then you have some of the other sports that have just this long, rich history. Next year's, year 30 for the MLS? So all of a sudden, you have a group of kids, you have a group of college kids just out of college, where their entire lives there's been an MLS team. I would assume that helps a great deal.
Yeah, it's that multi-generational, right? Like my grandfather was a Revs fan, and my father was a Revs fan, and my sister's a Revs fan. So it's certainly, we don't have that quite yet, right? Mm-hmm. You might have a mother or father with children that they're raising, but we're certainly getting there. And I think you're going to wake up, 10 or 20 years from now, and all of a sudden the MLS is going to be, the 3rd biggest sports league in the United States. I think soccer's already surpassed a couple of the other sports, if you look at soccer as a whole. Because, again, it's not just MLS, right? You got national team, you got Liga MX, you got the women's team. So there's so much soccer, Premier League, that the sport of soccer at the professional and national team level, I think, has already surpassed a number of the other sports. I think our league, MLS, right, we haven't quite caught the NHL, the NBA, or Major League Baseball yet, but we're coming.
Well, in the World Cup, coming back here, 2026, that I would assume is going to help quite a bit, especially if Team USA can kind of capitalize and maybe some MLS stars are, contributing for their countries around the way. But that's another thing to look forward to.
Yeah, in the last World Cup, in fact, MLS was one of the top leagues actually represented at the World Cup. So I think people sleep on us sometimes in terms of our global presence and where we stand in the world of soccer. But we had a ton of representation in the last World Cup in MLS, and I think you're going to see even more this next World Cup here in the United States. So it's a really good point. Our commissioner has described the World Cup as rocket fuel for our league.
Yeah.
And we're really excited to see. I mean, if you think about it, last time we had the World Cup, the Men's World Cup in '94, we didn't have a league. So the last World Cup helped start MLS. And to think about where we are now as a league and where we'll be after the World Cup, it's pretty exciting.
Talking with Brian Bilello, the New England Revolution president, and going back to that idea of the Big Five, it's obviously a tough one to crack. I also think if you look at it fairly, there's really sort of the super big one in the NFL, and then it's almost like everybody else is kind of competing. And I think like you were saying before, if you can kind of look at the NHL and maybe even the MLB at times, the way things are going, and looking at ratings and just overall attendance and things like that, like there's a much better chance to sort of chip away at that and kind of be in that conversation.
Yeah, look, I look at it like we're there. I know we're not there until, folks like yourself and other people on the radio are talking about us all the time, just like the other teams, which I guess I should be careful what I ask for. So I recognize we're not quite there. And what's the juice? What's the thing that gets you over there? But when you look at the fan levels, the attendance levels, I mean, our league is, averaging 23,000 plus a game as a league, which is higher than the NBA and the NHL. Again, they have more games, so probably more total attendees. I think the juice is there, and we certainly see it in a lot of our markets. But you're right. There's this sort of weird question as to when does that officially get over the hump. But I would say this. I think MLS is a lot closer to the NHL than the NHL is to the NFL, right?
Sure.
And so when I look at it that way, I view it the same way you do, in that I think there's a big four, and then there's a one. And the one is the NFL, and they're just such a monster in everything they do. We see it every day here at the facility. But we're really, in many ways, passing some of these other sports. And so I just think it's one day people are going to wake up and say, when did this happen? And it's either happening now or it's already happened, and just not everyone has seen it quite yet. Doesn't mean we don't have a long way to go. We believe that we do, and we're working hard at it. But we're pretty excited about where we are.
Well, and then, like you said, to have it be brought up more often on sports radio, you're going to get questions like, you're off to a 1-7-1 start, bottom of the table. So what stands out to you as to why the team has gotten off to such a slow start?
Well, there's a number of things that, have just been frustrating for us. I think, I don't think we've played well enough to be, near the top of the league, but I think we've played better than some of our results that we've received. So that's a tricky thing in soccer. When you're low scoring, you don't always get that right. But there's certainly games that we didn't deserve to win that we didn't win. So should we be closer to sort of like the playoff line? Probably. But we gotta suck it up, and we gotta turn things around. We were in the Champions League tournament, which again for us is a lot of travel to places like Panama and Costa Rica. And I do think that hurt us a little bit at the beginning of the season. We're proud to be in the tournament. We were proud to advance to the quarterfinals. But no excuses. We still gotta deliver on the field. So. With new coaching Caleb, he's got a new system that he's putting in place. We picked up some injuries. There's a lot of little excuses you can point to, but at the end of the day, we have to deliver on the field. Our players know that. Our coaching staff knows that. And, we're looking forward to this next run of games and hopefully start to put points back up the board and climbing towards that playoff line.
Now, a lot of Patriots fans are starting to question, just how much financially Robert Kraft is going to spend on this team, and they missed out on a couple of big free agents this offseason. So those questions have certainly been going on. Also, the owner of the New England Revolution, is there questions about whether or not you're going to have the full support to go out there and improve the team to the best of your ability?
No, I don't think so. I mean, if you look at, again, these last number of years, we've invested heavily in facilities. We built a brand new, gorgeous training center, which we'd love to have you down here. We could show you that. Just for the Revs, one of the best in the league. And, if you look at the last few years, we've been one of the higher spending teams in the entire league. We've been one of the higher spending teams in all of North America a couple of those years. So we've invested pretty heavily in the team. Our league's structured with a weird cap system, and so we don't have a designated player movement that we can do now, but there's a new initiative that just got passed by the league where we can actually spend a little bit more money now this summer, which will be great. So we will have some mechanisms that we can improve the team. But no, there's been a lot of investment in the team in the last number of years. We performed historically the last few years very well. I think we're second in the league in total points gained in the last 3 years. This year hasn't been where we wanted to be, and certainly we're going to need to do some things to improve the team. But we know we'll have the tools to do that, and we're excited to get to that window. The guys we have to play better, but there'll be opportunities to improve the team as well in this summer transfer window.
And then last thing, Brian, I know there's been talk about at some point a soccer-only stadium for the Revs. What's sort of the latest on that?
Yeah, there's been some public news on a site in Everett, Massachusetts, near the Encore Resort and Casino, and that's a project we are absolutely working on. To simplify it, because I know you want short answers for radio, there's a lot of zoning kind of overlay stuff because it's along the water that needs to be sort of changed and altered a little bit in order to allow a stadium to be on the site. So we still have some work to do to get that zoning switched so that we're able to put the stadium there. But we think it's a tremendous site for a potential soccer venue. We think it'd be great for the city of Everett. We think it'd be great for greater Boston and Massachusetts. It'd be amazing for soccer fans on public transit. What you see in a lot of MLS markets, right, are these 20 to 25,000 soccer design stadiums, which I will tell you, if you get a chance, I think the best experience in North America, I'm not just a soccer hunk, I think the best experience in North American sports right now is going to an MLS event in one of these soccer venues. It's electric, it's loud, the fans are super engaged. It's just very different than I think what we have in some of our other sports leagues, and that's what we're trying to bring to Boston with the Revs. We love Gillette. When we put 30,000 in it, it's a pretty good experience for sure. But we really want to bring the Revolution closer to Boston and closer to our fans up there, and that's a big goal of ours, and we're pushing hard on it right now.
Well, the Revolution take on Chicago Fire FC this Saturday night, 8:30 on the road. And also note, all MLS games this weekend are free on Apple TV+, so no excuse to miss out on the Revs this weekend. We've been talking with Brian Bilello, the New England Revolution president. Thanks so much for the time tonight, Brian, and hopefully we'll do this again soon.
All right, my pleasure.